A low lunge is a really great passive stretch for our hip flexors, the muscles in the front of the hip and the back leg. And depending on your quad flexibility, you might feel a little bit of a stretch in those quads as well. If you'd like to work on your strengthening this position, making your muscles stronger to support a deeper range of motion, there's lots of ways that we can add a strengthening active component to this. I'll link to another audio video that shows some strengthening that you can do for your hip flexors. But another fun variation is working on our quad strength while we're in this position. So for our quad activation, we'll do a little contract, relax. We're gonna do about 10 seconds of contracting the quads while we're in this position, and then we're gonna relax for 10 to 20 seconds, and then you can repeat that a couple times if it's feeling good. First, we're gonna make sure we're starting in a proper low lunge. So our front knee is stacked over our front heel. Our torso is nice and lifted, so we're not leaning forwards. We're keeping our torso lifted, which is gonna help keep our hip bones pointing forwards. We wanna make sure our hip bones are pointing forwards, not rotating down towards the floor. So you can also think about tucking your tailbone. So from our starting position, we should be feeling a stretch through the front of that back leg hip. If you've got a lot of flexibility, your lunge might be very low to the ground. If you've got really tight hips, you might be in almost a 90-degree lunge. Both of them are great for this exercise. Do the one where you're feeling the stretch through those hips. So starting in our lunge, we can have our hands anywhere we like for balance, as long as we're not leaning forwards. We're gonna hang out, just feel this passive stretch for a couple moments, get our hip flexors accustomed to hanging out in the stretch. And then for engaging our quads, you're gonna stay in the exact same position, so you're not gonna actually move. This is an isometric contraction, meaning the muscles stay the same length. We're just gonna take that back foot and start pushing it down into the floor, nice and strong. As soon as you start pushing the top of your foot down, you're gonna feel your quads engaged. That's because our quads are the muscles that help straighten that leg. So those are the muscles that are squeezing. They're basically trying to straighten that leg, but we're gonna keep our knee on the floor. If this feels kind of funky on your foot, you can absolutely do this with your toes tucked, pushing the ball of your foot into the floor if you prefer. So from our lunge, we're gonna push the top of that back foot down, just keep pushing it into the floor. Constant tension, push it down. Feel that tension building in your quads, hold that tension. Keep pushing that foot down for 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax that tension. You might be able to sink a teeny bit lower into your lunge. And if things are feeling good, you can repeat that another 2 or 3 times. If you're someone who's got a little bit more flexibility in your quads and it feels okay on your back knee, we can make this a bit more challenging for those quads by starting with our back foot lifted. So that might mean using a strap around our ankle to lift that foot up off of the ground, so you're feeling more of a stretch in those quads. And then we're pushing our ankle into the strap for 10 seconds, pulling on that strap so our foot doesn't actually touch the ground. Or if you're someone who is bending enough to grab that ankle, pull it towards your butt, you can hang out in this lunge. Push your ankle into your hand really strong for 10 seconds in that deeper quad stretch, and then relax. Sink those hips farther forwards as you go.
If you want to learn more stretches like this, you should totally check out the Flexopedia on my website. It's a free online library of stretches with detailed how-tos for both passive stretches and active stretches organized by muscle group. You can access the Flexopedia by going to dannywinksflexibility.com/Flexopedia or simply click the link in this video description.